I still hear her voice sometimes, flat as a knife sliding across skin. Your wedding's worth 5,000. Your sister's was 90. You're just not the priority. She said it over Sunday brunch, smiling like she was complimenting the pancakes. And in that second, something inside me cracked open, quiet, final, irreversible. That was 2 years ago. I was 37, standing on swollen feet in a cramped salon in the suburbs of Cleveland, cutting layers in a stranger's hair, while my own life felt like it was fraying at the ends. My name's Claire. I have a daughter, Ava, 10 years old then, all elbows and hope, the kind of kid who apologizes to furniture when she bumps into it. And I had Marcus, the man who showed up every single day without being asked, who read Ava bedtime stories in silly voices and never once made me feel like damaged goods for having a child before I had a ring. We weren't asking for much. A small outdoor ceremony, maybe 60 guests, wildflowers instead of orchids, a playlist instead of a band. Marcus and I were paying for it ourselves. $18,000 scraped together from overtime and skip vacations. I only mentioned it to my mother because I thought, stupidly, that she'd want to be part of it. That maybe this time she'd see me. Instead, she hosted that brunch at her country club. My sister Harper sat glowing in the middle, fresh from her own $90,000 spectacle 5 years earlier. The one my parents took out a second mortgage for while I quietly covered their overdue electric bill so the lights would stay on for Harper's dress fittings. Harper didn't even look up from her phone when Mom spoke. She just nodded like it was obvious, like I'd always been the discount version. And then Mom turned to Ava, who was sitting there in her thrift store dress, clutching a handmade card covered in glitter, and said, "Sweetheart, we're keeping the photos traditional, so you'll sit this one out." Ava's little face folded in on it. "Itself," she whispered to me. Did I mess up again? I wanted to scream. Instead, I smiled the way I'd been trained, tight, polite, invisible, and rubbed circles on her back until my thumb went numb. Nobody at that table said a word in my defense. Not my brother. Not my aunts. Just the soft clink of silverware and the low hum of agreement. That's when I felt it. The slow, sick realization that I'd spent my whole life paying rent to live in a family that never actually let me move in. I've been their safety net for years. When Harper needed 10 grand for her honeymoon, I sent it. When Dad's transmission died, I put on my credit card. When Mom's roof leaked, I worked double shifts and wired the difference. Every holiday, I showed up at dawn with my kit, curling, pinning, spraying until my wrists shook, turning the entire bridal party into princesses while Ava sat in the corner coloring quietly so she wouldn't get in the way. I told myself it was love. Really, it was currency. As long as I paid, they let me stay close enough to pretend I belonged. But that morning at the country club, something shifted. I didn't cry in the car. I didn't rage. I just drove home with Ava asleep against the window, her glitter card crumpled in her lap, and when Marcus asked what happened, I told him everything. He listened without interrupting, jaw tight, eyes dark. Then he said the words that changed it all. Then we don't give them the satisfaction. That night, I sat at our kitchen table and canceled everything. Venue gone. Flowers canceled. Dress deposit forfeited. Every click felt like cutting a rope that had been slowly strangling me. Marcus didn't try to talk me out of it. He just made tea and sat beside me while I deleted months of careful planning. When I was done, the silence in the house felt huge, clean, terrifying. The call started the next day. First Mom, then Harper, then relatives I hadn't heard from since high school. "You're overreacting. You're embarrassing us. Think of your father's blood pressure." Not one of them asked how Ava was feeling. Not one said sorry. I stopped answering. Instead, Marcus pulled out an envelope he'd been holding on to. Inside was a handwritten note from his great-uncle Vincent. Old Italian money, quiet, almost mythical in family stories. Vincent owned a small estate in Tuscany. He'd heard through Marcus that we were planning a wedding and offered the place. No fuss, no audience, just a garden and a priest if we wanted one. "Come if you need peace," he wrote. "Stay as long as you like." I looked at Ava, who was drawing the coffee table, 3 stick figures holding hands under a bright yellow sun. I asked her, "How would you feel about getting married in Italy?" Her head snapped up. "Like real Italy? With gelato?" Marcus laughed, the first real laugh in days. Exactly like that. Ava's eyes went wide. Then, quieter. Would I be in the pictures? My heart cracked all over again. Baby, I said, you'd be the most important part. We left 10 days later. No announcements. No passive-aggressive posts. Just 3 suitcases and the clothes on our backs. I told the salon I had a death in the family. Close enough. Tuscany in spring smells like warm earth and jasmine. Vincent met us himself, silver hair, linen shirt, eyes that had seen everything and judged nothing. He shook my hand like I was already family, then knelt to Ava's level and told her the lemon trees were hers to climb. She believed him instantly. We married on a Thursday morning under an olive tree older than America. I wore a simple cream dress I found in a village shop. Marcus wore the same linen shirt he'd worn on our 3rd date. Ava wore pale blue and carried a basket of wildflowers she'd picked herself. Vincent stood witness. When the officiant asked if anyone objected, Ava piped up, I don't. I really don't. We all laughed until we cried. Afterward, we took one photo, just one. The 3 of us on the stone steps. Sun warm on our faces, Ava's flower crown crooked, my hand in Marcus's, his arm around her shoulders. No caption. I posted it, then turned my phone off. When I turned it back on the next morning, it was chaos. 132 missed calls. Voicemail stacked like bricks. Harper, what the hell, Claire? Mom, you have humiliated this entire family. Distant cousins chiming in like they'd ever cared. And then, cutting through all of it, one new comment on the photo. Vincent Moretti, beautiful ceremony at my home. Welcome to the family, Claire and Ava. Short, calm, final. I read it 3 times before it sank in. Someone with real weight in this world had just drawn a line in the sand my mother could never cross. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like I had to pay to belong. Mom's reply came an hour later, public, frantic, full of exclamation points and wounded pride. I didn't read it all. I didn't need to. I'm sitting here now on the terrace, watching Ava chase butterflies through the garden while Marcus and Vincent argue good-naturedly over how much pasta is too much. The air smells like citrus and freedom. And I keep thinking about that one question Ava asked in the car after the brunch. If I'm not in the pictures, does that mean I'm not really family? She's in every picture now, and so am I. But here's what still keeps me up sometimes. If your own mother ranks you lower than your sibling, tells your child she's not traditional enough to stand in a photo, takes everything you give, and still calls you selfish for finally saying no, can you ever really forgive that? If it were you, if someone looked at your kid and decided they were optional, would you forgive them? Tell me in the comments. I genuinely want to know. Thanks for watching. Do subscribe for more stories.